There are signs everywhere telling us where to go and what to do. But when this top executive,
I'm the president and CEO of FASTSIGNS International,
goes undercover,
I'm going to be posing as the rocker chick. I don't know what I'm doing.
will the signs lead her
We actually lost the house today.
Oh,
to a better way of doing business
we're not providing our franchise partners the training that they need in these kinds of projects.
and a fresh start? New Undercover Boss, CBS Friday.
Ladies and gentlemen, Catherine Monson.
How is everybody doing today? Now, I really expected a little more raucous, like, how is everybody doing today? That is a Pi Sigma Epsilon welcome. I am so excited to be here. So, by show of hands, because I really like interactive presentations, how many of you have ever watched a single episode of Undercover Boss? Okay, hopefully no hands are going to come up next. How many actually saw my episode of Undercover Boss? Only a few, and that's good. So only a few of you saw that I don't know how to make signs. Now, it's interesting, if you believe everything you see in the blogosphere, I actually had some people in the sign industry blog that someone who's leading as CEO the biggest sign company in the world is a failure if they don't know how to make signs. I don't know, you can decide. We had a record year last year. We've had a record first quarter. Franchise sales are off the charts. We are ahead of the competition. So what I think that means is sometimes what it takes to be a successful leader is different than what it takes to be a great production person building a sign. Another show of hands. Who thinks I look better as a brunette? We have 3-4 honest people in the room. The rest of you I know are fibbing. Now, what's interesting is in this particular episode of Undercover Boss, they let me pick where I wanted to do the transformation. So I picked the hair salon where my amazing stylist actually makes me not brunette, which is my natural color, but look like this. So as soon as the episode was announced, we gave them counter cards to promote See Us on Undercover Boss. And they had the before and the after picture. So they had the Catherine is a blonde picture and the Catherine is a rocker chick brunette picture. 85% of his customers and the customers of every stylist there said she looks better as a brunette. I didn't care. I'm still going to stay blonde because I've been told that if you're blonde and you walk in a room, more people notice. I don't know that that's true, but I believe it. And if I believe it, that's all that really matters. So I want to say thank you very much to Ann Devine for inviting me to be here. I've been really looking forward to this. Ann and I have been trying to set this date for about 2 years. And my schedule's been so crazy and had a lot of conflict. So I was really pleased that this one worked out for me. And what I want to share with you is what I have learned in my career about what it takes to be a successful leader. But what I'm going to talk about today is more than what it takes to be a successful leader. Because the secrets that I'm going to share are what it takes to be a successful anything. To be the most successful parent, the most successful professor, a successful politician, a successful outside salesperson, a successful marketing manager, a successful CEO. So if you look at some of the best sports figures of our time, one of the things they do is they study what makes other sports teams or players successful. They study the competition. They study leaders. They study success. And likewise, I have spent much of my career studying successful people. And what I want to share with you today is the 5 common characteristics of successful people. And the most exciting thing, I believe, that I've learned is these are not talents we are born with, but instead skills we can develop. Which means as I share these 5 common secrets of success, common characteristics of successful people with you, you might say, but I don't have that. I'm a failure. No, 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 no. You haven't practiced that skill. You haven't perfected that skill. You haven't put enough time into developing that skill for yourself. So each and every one of us can get better in each of these 5 skill areas, and I work on getting better at them all the time as well. So if I could see my slides for a second, we're going to have you work hard back there, Ryan and Mike's flipping between me and flipping between my slides. So what it takes to be a successful leader, and Ryan, if you would advance one slide for me, please. I'm used to having control. One of the things CEOs love to have is control. I'm used to having a remote or my slides here, and today I'm trusting Ryan is going to do an amazing job, and he has so far, so I feel good about this. One of the things I've learned is successful people are willing to do the things unsuccessful people aren't willing to do. It's called discipline. When I look at the people in this room, I see folks that are going to be extremely successful in their lives and their careers. Why? You're doing things other people aren't willing to do. Some college kids are on spring break partying. Now, I understand there's been some partying going on here too. I'm not against partying. No, party's good. I've done plenty of it in my time. But what you're doing is you're investing hours and time in perfecting your craft. That's part of what it takes to be successful. It's doing those things that less successful people aren't willing to do. So Ryan, do me a favor and go to another slide, the next one. So since I'm in the sign business, I have created the secrets to success as a street sign. Makes sense, right? So this is what I want you to walk away with. If you can focus on PMA, GDB, SM, SOU, and NSL, you will be a success for life. Thank you very much. I'll see you later. Oh, no. You were expecting me to tell you what that's about. Okay. The first one is positive mental attitude. Now, you may think that sounds like namby-pamby, may I say it, BS? You know what that, bull-pucky? But the reality is folks with a positive mental attitude achieve far more than people who don't. Let me give you an illustration. Who wants to follow me? God, business is bad. The recession sucks. The competition is better than we are. Go team. Right? That isn't going to work. So even in the toughest times, a great leader, a great salesperson, a great marketer is going to focus on the positive things. Positive mental attitude. The next one is, put that back up there, goal-directed behavior. Successful people have goals, and we're going to spend a period of time, probably the most amount of time today, on goal-directed behavior. Because if you can master how to set and achieve goals, you are going to master amazing things and accomplish amazing things in your life, based on what you want to achieve. The next one is self-motivation. Sometimes people call that self-discipline, but we're going to talk about the secrets in how to learn self-motivation. Sense of urgency. Some people call that impatience. People will call me impatient. But the fact is, I really believe if I can get it done today, there's no reason to do it tomorrow. Because tomorrow is going to bring more opportunities and more delays and more challenges. And then the last is never stop learning. So let's advance one more slide, please, Ryan. So I want to talk a little bit about positive mental attitude. And I really want to tell you this is a learned skill. And I'll share with you, and I'm glad a lot of you didn't see Undercover Boss, because I shriek and I talk to a cat and I talk about reincarnation, and then my friends are wondering, is that an act or is that real? My employees are wondering, oh my God, is it real? The good news is the reincarnation part was an act. The talking to a cat, honestly, if a cat walked across now, I would say, here, kitty, 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 because I'm crazy about all animals. You know, if a dog walked in, I would do the same thing for the dog. Rhinoceros, I mean, we're near the San Diego Zoo, so anything is possible. So, where was I? Oh, that's right, the cat walked across the stage. That's called distraction, but it's important to be able to focus as a successful leader and come back where you are. Positive mental attitude. So if you had seen that episode, you would have learned that my mother committed suicide. My brother broke his neck at 16 and is a quadriplegic. He can't get out of bed by himself, go to the bathroom by himself, bathe himself. I kind of grew up in an abusive alcoholic home. Now, am I telling you that so you feel sorry for me? No, I'm telling you that because I want you to know that I grew up not knowing about a positive mental attitude. I grew up thinking life sucked. I actually went through years of therapy. I was on antidepressants. I'm in favor of both those things, so don't misunderstand and think that I'm against those things. But what I also learned is I am in control of my brain. You are in control of your brain. There's a novel out, you guys are all probably too young to ever have read it, but it's called Shogun. James Clavell is the author. And in this book, he's talking about the samurai, and all the samurai must do discipline-wise to be able to control what he wants to control. And in the book, he said something that's amazingly accurate. To think bad thoughts is really the easiest thing to do in the world. If you ever leave your mind to itself, it will spiral down into ever-increasing unhappiness. To think good thoughts, however, requires effort. This is one of those things of discipline training is all about. So I used to do this. This was my issue in my 20s. I'm too fat. I'm not good enough. Oh my God, what if I don't have enough money to pay the bills? Oh my God, I might actually lose my house. Gee, what if I don't get that promotion? I now call that piling on. And if you ever pile on, this is what you have to learn to do. You need to yell at yourself, stop! And then you got to figure out how to turn your mind to something you can control and something positive. Now that may not be an issue that any of you face, but throughout a lot of my life, I piled on and I kept thinking darker and darker thoughts. And I didn't grow as a person. I needed to learn to control my thoughts. So positive mental attitude is very important. Colin Powell, very successful general and then Secretary of State, said, perpetual optimism is a force multiplier. Henry Ford said, whether you believe you can do a thing or not, it's true. So if you see yourself becoming the CEO of some great organization in 10 or 15 or 20 years, and you believe you can get there, you have a much higher likelihood than if you think you never have a chance. We're going to spend some more time talking about how to do some visualization. Zig Ziglar. Who in here knows who Zig Ziglar is? Oh my God. Well, here we can really tell the age of people. If you're over, I'll be kind, 30, you knew who Zig Ziglar was, and if you were under 30, you didn't. So Zig Ziglar is one of the world-renowned best sales trainers and motivational speakers. And Zig Ziglar became a millionaire teaching people how to be successful. And one of the things he said is, it is your attitude, not your aptitude, that will determine your altitude. So Zig gave one big motivating speech one day. There were, 5,000 people in the audience. And at the end, this guy comes up and he says, that's all well and good, but positive mental attitude doesn't last. It's only good for a day. And Zig Ziglar said, did you bathe today? I said, of course I did. He said, you going to bathe tomorrow? I said, yeah. Going to bathe the next day? Yeah. Well, focusing on positive things, motivation, positive mental attitude is a lot like bathing. It's best if it's done every day. If you only bathed once a year, after about 5 days, nobody wanted to be around you, right? So if you don't teach yourself to think positive thoughts and become positive, after a period of time, you're going to have fewer and fewer friends, or you're going to have a bunch of friends that are negative too. So positive mental attitude, it is something you can learn. The world of achievement has always belonged to the optimist. I can't do it, never accomplished anything. I will try what has accomplished wonders. Optimism is essential to achievement and the foundation of courage and true progress. So, number one, common characteristic of successful people is a positive mental attitude. And you learn it and you teach yourself. So in my office, I have 108 employees at my corporate office. We have 530 locations in 8 countries. It's a big sprawling building. It's got this big long central corridor. And it used to just be white walls. Now it's called Inspiration Hall. And both sides of the hallway as you go down it are filled with quotations about success, about planning, about goal-directed behavior, about self-discipline, about motivation. I believe the stuff I talk about. What I want my team members to do as they walk down that hall every day is feed their mind something positive. I subscribe to 2 different positive quotes of the day. Every day I get emails from 2 different groups that feed my mind something positive. I'll come across one that'll really resonate with me and I'll start sharing it with people I know. I'll put it in Inspiration Hall. Let me tell you, Inspiration Hall is getting kind of crowded. What I love is when an employee comes into my office and says, I saw the new one. You just put it up yesterday, didn't you? Yep, good job. I like that you're awake and that you're looking at those things. Positive mental attitude, you learn it. You can develop the skill. All of us are going to have bad days. All of us are going to have situations where someone we love gets injured or dies, or we have a financial setback, or we have a career setback, or we have a recession. Whatever it is, all of us will have those kinds of situations. It's those of us that know how to deal with, to play with the cards we're dealt and play them well with a good mind and positive mental attitude that will do a lot better than those that just stew and steep in darkness and negative thoughts. Let's go to the next slide, please. Goal-directed behavior, the second common characteristic of the 5 common characteristics of successful people. Successful people set goals. I wanted to run a company when I was 16 years old. I knew I wanted to be a CEO. That ability to have a goal and look at it and think about it will get you far. You don't all have to be CEOs. It's whatever you want. To be the best astronaut, to be the best professor, to be the best surgeon. It doesn't matter. You have to figure out what your passion is, and then you set the goals to achieve that. We're going to spend more time on setting and achieving goals because I think it's the thing that is the hardest to understand. There's huge power in writing a goal down. Too many people never even write their goals down. But then the next most powerful step is what's the plan you're going to put in place to achieve that goal. We're going to spend time on that because I think it's so important. So one of the quotes in Inspiration Hall is, all high achievers plan their work and work their plan. Another one that's in Inspiration Hall is, successful people do the things that unsuccessful people are unwilling to do. Setting goals and putting a plan together is hard work. Now, the end result is you achieve a lot more, you get joy and fulfillment and excitement in your life because great things happen, but it's still hard work. It's a lot easier to go to the beach and work on your suntan. Next slide, please. Self-motivation. Self-motivation, self-discipline, it's getting yourself out of bed. It's making one more sales call, one more cold call, sending one more thank you letter. It's me walking around the office again during the day and asking someone how their day is going and asking how I can help them be more successful and do they have the tools that they need. It's not just sitting in my office. It's having that motivation to do something more. If we're talking about weight loss, and then a little bit later I'll tell you my story of the Battle of the Bulge. It's been an ongoing story, but you know, right now we're in an okay place in that battle. But it's not easy, but you've got to spend some time with that self-motivation to make it happen. So what are some thoughts on self-motivation or discipline? Self-discipline is the universal differentiator between highly successful people and marginally successful people. I look at you guys, you are already doing the things you need to be doing. The kind of self-discipline it takes for you to put hours and hours into a project. To those folks that got up here and won awards and are winning throughout this convention and throughout your time in Pi Sigma Epsilon, those are the kinds of things you're doing. That's the self-motivation, it's the self-discipline. Everyone who's ever taken a shower has had an idea. It's the person who gets out of the shower, dries off, and does something about it that makes the difference. Successful people have high expectations for themselves, and then they do something every day to fill those high expectations. Thomas Edison said, the 3 great essentials to achieving anything worthwhile are, first, hard work, second, stick-to-itiveness, and third, common sense. Beverly Sills said, there's no shortcuts to any place worth going. Jonathan Winter said, if your ship doesn't come in, swim to it. All of that is self-motivation, it's self-discipline. It's not waiting for the good stuff to come to you. It's going out there and getting the good stuff, and that self-motivation is critical. To succeed in life today, you must have the will and tenacity to finish the job. Okay, this is a proverb. It is better to wear out one's shoes than wear out one's sheets. I'll let you guys think about that for a little bit. That means just be lazy and stay in bed. I wasn't going anyplace else with this crowd, sorry. You know, I told you I would keep it, you know, PG-13, but clearly it's hard with this group. Thomas Jefferson said, I'm a great believer in luck, and I find the harder I work, the more of it I get. So that self-motivation is the thing that brings good luck. Ryan, can I see the next slide, please? So the fourth common characteristic is a sense of urgency. It's that do it today, get it done, do one more thing. Yes, I know it's hard, but just make it move forward, make it move forward. And you guys are doing that every day in your college lives. And lastly, Ryan, if you go to the last one for me here, never stop learning. What I see about you guys is a group of folks committed to learning your craft, practicing and developing your sales skills, practicing and developing your marketing skills. That's part of this never stop learning. I read business books, marketing books, self-development books, exercise books. I happen to believe that leaders are readers. And the more you learn, the more you fill your mind, the more successful you'll be. So, consistently high performance is driven by continuous improvement, and that's the never stop learning. So, if you would go one ahead for me, Brian. I believe this stuff. I have a guy I work with at FASTSIGNS. He's my number 2 in command, and he says to me, Catherine, there's never a reason for you to say, in my 34 years in business, because that just makes you sound old. Just say, in my more than 20 years in my career. Then you sound accomplished, but not so old. So, in my more than 20 years in my career, what I've really learned is that if I focus every day on developing these 5 characteristics in myself, if I work every day on developing these skills in myself, and then how to become a successful leader, start teaching your people that work for you how to develop these skills in themselves, and amazing things happen. I believe this to the depths of my soul. I see it work every single day. I see it with my team members. I see it with franchisees of FASTSIGNS, the 530 different locations that are franchisee owned. We believe this stuff. We believe it is the core of what makes people successful in whatever career they want to be in. If you'd advance one more time for me, please. So, there's a book called The Road Less Traveled. One of the chapters in that book talks about life is tough. You know, so often we think life should be a bowl of cherries, it should be all sunshine and balloons and all kinds of fun stuff. Somehow when we were brought up, we were kind of told that's what we should expect, that everything should be good. But the reality is life is tough. January 24th, I'm having pool work done at my house. They have to take 2 feet of water out of the pool. My house is 25 years old, a beautiful home in Plano. For those few that knew who Zig Ziglar was, I bought Zig Ziglar's house. My house has the best mojo. It is a house that he and his wife Jean built 25 years ago. If you've ever seen, he talks about C at the top. There are a lot of arrows and symbolism in him, and so there's arrows in the brickwork and an arrow in the pool. Anyway, the house has got good mojo. So I found out on January 24th, this is like life's tough, that my pool is plumbed incorrectly, and in the backwash, instead of going around to a P-vent to the sewer outlet that would flood the front yard if there was a problem with the sewer, instead came up through a toilet, and 2 feet of pool water and sewage covered my entire downstairs. I get a call from the pool company, Ms. Monson. There's been a little something that's gone wrong, and we're wondering if you could come home because the pool is in your house. So I came, and it's true, the pool was in my house. I mean, that kind of stuff happens. It sets you back. I cried like a baby for 3 days. I felt sorry for myself for a baby for 3 days, and then I slapped myself and said, my God, there are folks in Hurricane Superstorm Sandy that lost their houses, and some people lost their lives, and whole neighborhoods are gone. Heck, in 3 months, my house can be rebuilt. All I got to do is fix everything from a foot down. But I mean, life is tough. Crap happens. Now, literally in my house, crap happens was true because I've got pictures. I can show you what what category 3 black sewage looks like on your kitchen floor. Crap happens. I cleaned that up just for you because I know you said no bad language with this gentle crowd. So, in this book, The Road Less Traveled, one of the chapters is about life's tough. But the reality is the tougher we're on ourselves, the more disciplined we are on ourselves, the easier life is on us. What's an example? If we have the self-discipline to save a little money every day, in time we'll have a down payment for a house. That's being tough on yourself. If we decide to put off some satisfaction today to have greater satisfaction in the future, that's being tough on ourselves. So those are just little examples about, the tougher you are on yourself, the easier life is going to be on you. So I want to spend a little time, if we could, Ryan, on setting and achieving goals. And in this particular area, Ryan, maybe we spend a little more time there. So setting and achieving goals. JCPenney. Now, many of you know what the store JCPenney is, but I want you to know that there was no chain called JCPenney. There was a guy named JCPenney that had an idea one day of having a retail store. He didn't have any money. He had to work really hard. He had to scrimp and save, and he opens his first retail store. And 1 becomes 2, becomes 3, becomes 4, becomes 150. JCPenney is a man who absolutely believed in setting and achieving goals. And one of his famous quotes is, "Give me a stock clerk with a goal, and I'll show you a man who will make history. But give me a man with no goals, and I'll show you a stock clerk." In other words, and there are so many success stories in our country of people who come here from other countries and they have nothing. They have no money. They have no family. But they work hard and they save and they start a business and amazing things happen. That's about setting goals and self-discipline and getting there. So to get ahead in life, Ryan, if you would, to get ahead in life, you have to have goals. I had the opportunity to go watch the Iditarod in Alaska. Anybody know what the Iditarod is? It's this dog sledding race. Okay, so I even got to ride in a dog sled, not in the Iditarod, but around that time. And has anybody been in a dog sled? Anybody? Okay, so they don't wash those dogs because they don't want any oil out of their skin. So I want you to imagine a dog that sweats a lot, that hasn't been bathed in, say 5 years. And then I want you to imagine that you're sitting in a sled and there are 12 of them in a line and they're all tied together. And as they're going, the wind is getting that wonderful aroma, filling your nostrils of the dirtiest, stinkiest dogs you've ever smelled. Anyway, I don't know how those guys do it in the Iditarod. Maybe they'd get immune to that smell, but I want you to think of those dogs. The only dog that ever has any new scenery is the one in the front. What's the scenery every other dog has? Well, we don't need to go into too much detail about what that is, but I think you're smart enough to figure that out. If you want to be the lead dog, if you want to experience amazing things in your life, if you don't want to be one of the dogs following in the pack, you're going to have to set some goals and do some things to achieve that. So, talk a little bit about goals for a second. The reality is that most people spend more time planning a vacation than they ever do planning their lives. Now, vacations are important, and I think planning vacations is important, but you're only going to be on that vacation for about 2 or 3 weeks, maybe 1 week. How much more important would it be to plan your life, to think about, what do I want to achieve career-wise? What kind of home do I want to buy? What kind of a parent do I want to be? How many children would I like to have? What kind of a leader would I like to be in my community? And kind of visualize those things and put a plan together. Most people spend more time planning their wedding than planning their marriage. Now, weddings are beautiful and I think they're great days, but then what happens if you haven't spent time developing that relationship and planning that marriage and that life together? So really a goal is a predetermined idea directed towards a desired result. So think about all the desired results you'd like to have and setting some goals in that regard. And then too many people never get around to setting goals because they're afraid, they don't know how, they think they'll do it wrong. If I do it wrong, what'll go wrong? I don't know. We're going to talk about a specific way to set and achieve goals. Ryan, if you'd advance for me. The basic problem isn't lack of time, it's lack of direction. Too many people haven't been taught the importance of goals. Too many people have not been told how to write a goal. Too many people haven't been taught what do you do with a goal once you got one. We're going to actually get into the nitty-gritty and talk about that today, because I think this could be the most important thing you learn in your life. If you can learn how to set the goals that you want to achieve, and then what do you do to achieve them, and you start having this fulfilling, exciting life that all your dreams come true and you achieve great things, and your friends and your family say, oh my God, look at him, look at her, see what they're doing, this is amazing. It'll be because you've learned how to set and achieve goals. Very important, Ryan, if you'd advance for me, to understand that no one becomes highly successful being a wandering generality that just bounces around. People who are highly successful, whether it's in sales, whether it's in marketing, whether it's in politics, whether it's in medicine, whether it's in parenting, are meaningful specifics. They know what they want to go after, they have a plan to go after it, and they're working on it every single day. Ryan, if you'd advance for me, please. So specific and clear goals and dreams chase the blues away. They fill us with purpose. They make us excited about being alive. And what you get from reaching your goals and is important, but it isn't as valuable as what you become as you work on achieving your goals, as you become a disciplined, well-rounded, balanced, developed, interesting, accomplished individual. Goals allow you to be, do, and have more. They allow you to use your mind and your talents fully. They allow you, at the end of the day, to go to bed exhausted and wiped out and so fulfilled because you did what you wanted to do that day, because you were working towards doing something that you really, really love. Goals allow you to be more organized and more effective. Goals allow you to do more for yourself as well as do more for others. Goals allow you to be more enthusiastic, to be more motivated, and truly to accomplish uncommon things in life. So you can, Ryan, advance for me. You can choose to set goals or not set goals. Honest to God, it's a choice. So if you have no goals, just know you've made a choice. If you have goals, you've made a choice. It's actually something that you choose to do. You know, there's so many people who go to their grave. They're at the end of their life. And they look back and they say, I wish I had, gosh, why didn't I try? You know, I never really stepped out and did. And wouldn't you rather come to the end of your days and say, my God, what an amazing ride. I tried it all. I didn't succeed in everything, but I succeeded in a lot more than I ever thought I would. And that's what having goals and achieving them can do. So, Ryan, for me, please. It's good to have lots of different types of goals. It's good to have physical and family and financial and social and spiritual and mental and career goals. Why? Right now you're probably on the brink of your career and you're thinking, all I want to focus on is my career. And that's a good thing. That's probably where you might want to focus most of your energy right now. But if you want to become a balanced, well-rounded, interesting person, you need to have goals in lots of different areas. So physical goals would be like fitness and health, and family goals would be to have great loving relationships with my family members, to be a good role model, to be a great parent. Financial goals might be, I want to have this much saved in the bank. I want to own a home by this date. I want to be able to have financial independence by the time I'm this age. Social goals would be things like, I want to become a good conversationalist. I want to have a great sense of humor. I want to feel comfortable walking into a room where I don't know anyone and making some friends. Those are all skills we can teach ourselves. Spiritual goals would be about developing inner peace. Mental goals would be about continuing education. Career goals, you guys know what that means. So step one, Ryan, if you'd advance for me, please. Create a dream sheet. This is not something you can do sitting at this table at lunch, but this is something you can do when you get back to your hotel. Well, you guys are going to be partying tonight, forget that. After you've recovered from this time at Pi Sigma Epsilon and you're rested and you set a couple hours aside to think about what would I like my life to be like if all my dreams came true, and start writing down all those dreams, like vacations. Where would you like to go? Where would you like to travel? When would you like to travel? How much money would you like to have? What kind of car would you like to drive? Where would you like to live? What kind of friends would you like to have? What would you like to be giving back to the community? And just write it all down. Just let it be this flow of ideas of what would make you happy. Come back 24 hours later and look at it again. Add to it, take stuff off of it. And then here's the critical thing. On each of those items, can you write a sentence as to why that's important to you? And if you can't, trust me, it's not important enough to you that you'll make the commitment to achieve it. So you might say, I want to become President of the United States. There's nothing wrong with that goal. That's a good goal. And you come back 24 hours later and you think, okay, what's in it for me? Why would that be a good thing? And you think, well, I inhaled, so that'll get in the way. I'm not really sure that I want my private life public. Not really sure. I think I'd rather work in the private sector where I know my hard work pays off, because in elections you could do a really great job but lose by 1 vote. If you can't write the reason down you want to be president, then I would take that one off the list and go to a next one. You need to be able to really feel why you want to achieve that. Create that dream sheet, come back to it 24 hours later, and then Ryan, and then be able to articulate in 1 sentence why you want to be or do or have that. And if you can't get there, then just take it off your list. You're going to do this dream sheet a couple different times in your life, maybe every year. You can always come back to being president after, well, who knows? I've got to watch what I say. How many of you actually knew what that inhale reference was about? Okay, see, again, I keep using these generational things. That was a Bill Clinton thing. He never actually inhaled. Anyway, never mind. I'm not going to go there. So, what I want to share with you is a 7-step process to successfully achieving goals. So step 1 is setting the goals. You've written your dream sheet. You've created those things you want to be, do, and have. Now how do you make it happen? So I want you to think about this. The Harvard class of 1953. Now you'd say, heck, if you go to Harvard, you probably come from money, you probably come from privilege, you probably have all kinds of opportunity. But if you look at the graduating class of Harvard in 1953, one of the things that was shared with that class is this 7-step process to successfully achieving goals. Good job, Ryan. You guys we're in sync, man. 20 years later, in 1973, a group of researchers went back to that graduating class. They'd all been out in the work world now for 20 years. They found that only 3% of that class actually followed all 7 steps consistently. They found that 10% of the class followed part of the steps, and the remaining 87% only set goals but didn't follow the steps. And the 3% that followed the 7 steps consistently created more wealth and more income, the 3%, than the 87% combined. Now, those 87% combined, those were all pretty dang successful people, but the folks that followed this process achieved more. So I want to share this process with you. I use this process and continue to use this process. And so number 1 is identify it and write it down. So once you've got that dream sheet, you've got that sentence down, you want to identify it and write it down. That's very, very powerful. Ryan, number 2, set a deadline. You got to have a deadline. A deadline is that activity driver. It tells you got to be doing something in certain time frames to achieve it. That is really the driver and the motivator for you. Next one, Ryan, number 3, list the obstacles to overcome. So let's say that one of my goals is to own my own home by the time I'm 27. So own my own home. I want to be in San Diego. Why not? It's darn pretty here. Great climate, beautiful. You got the ocean, not too far away from the mountains to go skiing. I think I want it to be as a starter home. Maybe it's going to be a 3-bedroom, 2-bath townhome. I want to own that by the time I'm 27. So what are some of the obstacles to overcome? Well, I have no savings. So one of the obstacles to overcome would be to start saving a down payment. And I have no credit. I've never had a credit card. Well, one of the obstacles to overcome would be to start building some positive credit history. So you can break that stuff down piece by piece to get a job, to earn enough income to be able to pay for the mortgage. Those would be kind of the obstacles to overcome. Number 4, identify the people and groups you need to work with to achieve that. Now, let's say that your goal is to become a very successful outside salesperson, that you want to work for Aflac, and you want to become one of the gold circle outside salespeople for Aflac within 5 years. What are some of the people and groups you'd want to associate with to learn that? Well, one would be Pi Sigma Epsilon, right? Get all this knowledge about sales and marketing. I think then I'd also maybe join a local chapter of Sales and Marketing Executives International if I could. I'd keep going to meetings. I would read books about sales and marketing. I would find other very successful Aflac salespeople and I'd say, hey, will you mentor me? Can we get together in the annual meetings and just talk a bit? And can I email you from time to time with questions? That would be the way you would start gathering more and more information to learn what you need to do to achieve your goal. Number 5, list the skills and knowledge required. So if you want to become a sales manager, one of the skills would probably be to become a really good salesperson and then to learn how to coach other people, learn how to teach selling skills and move them along. So you start creating this list of the skills and the knowledge required. Number 6, develop a plan of attack. So this is where you get very nitty-gritty. You want to list the specific steps down to the inch, down to the ounce, down to the day. Get a degree in sales. Complete all the training and all of the things I can with Pi Sigma Epsilon. Figure out what those things are. Identify 100 great companies that are known for good sales training and sales teams. Send my resume to those 100 great companies. Don't just send the resume. First find out who the HR person is and find out who the sales manager is and put together a very great marketing campaign knowing that they're going to get hundreds if not thousands of resumes. How am I going to make mine differentiate and stand out? That would be an example of a plan of attack. And number 7, lastly, list the benefits of what's in it for me. Because if you can't do that, you're not going to have the commitment. So let me just share for a second that for most of my adult life, I was 40 pounds heavier. Evidently, I must have wanted to be 40 pounds heavier because nothing ever flew into my mouth, right? I mean, it's not like I was standing there and people threw donuts at me and they were forced down my throat. Now, I never liked being 40 pounds heavier than I am today. I felt uncomfortable. I didn't like being in my skin, but I didn't have the commitment to make a change until I really found the reason why it was important to me. So what did I do? Put up my 7 steps. I got to a point where I was really unhappy about my weight. So I finally said, you know what, I'm sick and tired of this. It's been 12 years, I've been overweight and haven't been happy. I'm going to do something about it. So I identified and said, I am going to drop 40 pounds. When do I want to get that done by? What's reasonable? I said, next week. Then I decided perhaps that was unrealistic. I went and talked to a doctor about liposuction too, and he said, you know, you really got to lose the weight first. We just don't suck 40 pounds out. That's a bad idea. All right. So then I had to get more realistic. I said, okay, in 9 months. I think I can do it in 9 months. What does that break down to? A weekly weight loss, a daily weight loss thing. What were the obstacles I needed to overcome? Well, I needed to learn that carbohydrates were my enemy. I needed to learn that it was the bread, pasta, rice, and potatoes and desserts that were getting in my way. The other obstacle I had to overcome is I was just a lazy couch potato, right? So I needed to figure out, so what were the people and groups I needed to identify with? Well, it could have been Weight Watchers, it could have been Nutrisystem, it could be just a support group of friends where we're going to help be our accountability buddies, but what were we going to do? List the skills and knowledge required. Well, I needed to really understand that for me, to maintain a healthy weight, I have to eat a high protein, low carbohydrate diet. I need to be a carnivore and eat vegetables, right? So that's what I needed to do. I needed to develop a plan of attack, okay? I'm going to get rid of all the stuff in my house that tempts me at 10 o'clock at night, because when I weaken at 10 o'clock at night, that whole box of Oreo cookies is gone. It was full, I know, but now it's empty. Now, hopefully none of you had that kind of thing, but I had that kind of thing. So one was get it out of the house. The other thing I did is I shared with my friends and family what I was trying to do. Now, not all your friends and family want to help you in that endeavor. Some of them like to actually sabotage it. I don't understand why that is. But I put my plan of attack in, and what were the benefits? What's in it for me? I'd be happier. I wouldn't hate shopping for clothes. I'd be happy in the morning when I got dressed. I'd feel healthier, and I'd feel better. So that was what I did. And then I started doing it every single day. I'm going to start walking. And then when I got to where I was good enough, I actually ran a whole minute. And then at the end of the minute, I was like, and then I'd walk until my heart rate got back, and then I'd run another minute. And then surprisingly, I got to 2 minutes, and then to 3 minutes. And before I knew it, I was actually running like for 20 minutes. And I'm eating the high-protein, low-carb diet, and amazing things happen. Now, for the prior 12 years, I could never find it in myself. It wasn't until I really knew I needed to get this done to make me happy that I was able to make those changes. But that process will work on weight loss or career or anything in your life that you want to achieve. You break it down, and then every day you do step by step. If you'd advance one for me. So you got to make sure it's really your goal. If it isn't, it's never going to get done. So if your dad wants you to be a doctor and you just hate the sign of blood, not going to work so well. You got to make sure your short-range goals are consistent with your long-range goals. So if my long-range goal is to buy a house by the time I'm 27, and my short-range goal is to blow it all on 23 on roulette at Vegas next weekend with my buddies, those are not necessarily congruent, and that's going to get in the way. Can I commit myself emotionally to complete it? And most importantly, can I visualize achieving this goal? And I'm going to talk about visualization a little bit more in a second. Next thing is you need to work on your goals daily. You select 2 or 3 goals. You might have 25 goals. You pick the 2 that are most important to you right now. You do something on them every single day. And then when you fulfill one of those, you start on the next one. Next up, when one goal is reached, replace it with another. And then regularly review your goals. Goals are going to change, and that's okay. Your goals at 26 will be different than they're going to be at 32. Trust me, when you become a parent, things are going to change for you. When you have some life-altering thing that occurs in your family, your goals are going to change. That's normal, that's acceptable, and that's A-okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Next up, when do you share your goals with others? I think if it's a give-up goal, you share it with everyone. And if it's a get-up goal, only with those you love and trust. So let's give an example of that. A give-up goal, I'm going to stop smoking. You share that with everybody you know. And then you hope they slap you when you pull out a cigarette. Or at least say, are you really sure you want to smoke that? Or, a real story. I'm president of a company here in California. I'm not looking for a job. 4.5 years ago, I get a phone call. Catherine, we think you'd be perfect to be CEO of a company that we own. The founder is retiring, and we have identified you as the person that would run it. And keep in mind, I lived in Southern California. I said, where is it located? They said, Dallas. I said, not a chance in, starts with H, has 4 letters, isn't the word hill. There's not a chance in hell I will ever move to Dallas. I live in Southern California. And the owner of the private equity firm says, well, let me tell you why you should maybe think about that a little bit. We're going to give you stock options. We're going to get to be CEO, not president. You're going to be the guy who sets the goals of the company. You're going to be able to be the arbiter of the direction of this company. You're going to be able to have great opportunity. And at some point in the future, when we sell this company, you're going to be able to monetize those stock options like you never imagined when you were just a salaried employee. I thought about it for 2 weeks, did some due diligence on the company, threw my hat in the ring, only to find out I was the only person that interviewed for the job. They was the only person they talked to. It was my job to lose. But let me tell you what they put me through. My first interview was with 9 people over 2 days, including a dinner with 4 executives. My next interview was with the person I was replacing, the person who wanted the job that got to find out before I got there they weren't getting it, and the CFO who didn't want to work for anybody other than the founder. Okay, so I pass hurdle 1, I pass hurdle 2. The next thing I need to do is I need to meet with an industrial psychologist for 8 hours who's going to test whether I have the mental and emotional wherewithal to lead a company. I'm thinking, oh my God, he's going to find out all of my things. And what it really was an 8-hour intelligence and self-confidence, self-esteem test. I passed that hurdle. The next hurdle was to interview with a board member in New York City. Passed that hurdle. And then I got a job offer. been the best 4 years, 3 months of my life. I love what I do, giving me great opportunity. Like I've been on Fox Business 8 or 9 times. I've been on Undercover Boss. Those are opportunities that are coming to me because of my focusing on my craft and doing well. So, what was I talking about? I was talking about something. Oh, give up goals. Okay, so I want you to imagine it is my first week on the job as CEO. I'm in Las Vegas at a digital sign convention. Before this, I didn't even know what a digital sign was. I'm going to be interviewed by the press on our initiatives in digital signage at FASTSIGNS. Quick guys, give me some information so that I can act intelligent. I go to dinner with 2 of my employees. One is the Senior Vice President of Marketing. And I had said to her and the whole company that I live a low carbohydrate lifestyle. That was some weeks before I actually started with the company. They had me come out as soon as it was announced, spend a day with the team, and then I started a month later. So here I am, I'm sitting at a dinner table at a fancy restaurant in Las Vegas, and all of a sudden I realize I'm nervous. I've never been a CEO before. I don't know what to do. I reach for a roll. I put the roll on my bread plate. Because I had this courage to talk about a low-carb lifestyle, my Senior Vice President of Marketing says, "Do you really mean to eat that roll?" Can you imagine the courage it took for Drew Townsend to say to me, "Do you really want to eat that roll?" But because I had shared that with her, that I don't want to eat bread, pasta, rice, and potatoes, I said, "Drew, thank you so much." And then I did what I do when I need to, is I poured my iced tea on it so that it would be really gross and mushy and I wouldn't be tempted anymore. So, get back to that screen. So if you have a give-up goal, like I want to live a low-carbohydrate lifestyle, tell people so they hold you accountable. And if it's a get-up goal, like let's say that I'm a salesperson for Aflac, and I'm at a sales meeting with lots of other Aflac salespeople, and I want to be the top salesperson, maybe not the best thing to say to all those other salespeople because they want to be the top salesperson. They're not going to be motivated to help me. So give up goals, get up goals. Next up, look at your goals twice daily. I am a huge believer in programming the subconscious mind. I think that as you focus on things in your brain, your subconscious is going to make it happen. So I have my goals on a piece of paper taped 2 places, one on my bedstand. So as I roll out of bed when the alarm rings, and I hate every morning, I want you to know, I look at them and I go, yep, those are my goals. Then about 15 minutes later, I start to come to, and then I'm in my bathroom, and on the bathroom mirror is the same set of goals, and I have a little better attitude about them after I've had my Starbucks to get me going in the morning. So look at your goals twice daily, upon rising and before going to bed. Next slide, please. And then see yourself achieving the goal. You need to be able to see yourself reaching the objective. I mean, I truly believe, here's what I do before I give a speech. I stand on the very stage I'm going to be on, and I see myself with everybody looking at me. Even though their bladders are full and they really want to go to the ladies' room or men's room right now, they're still here. And they're not having side conversation. And I'm doing pretty good. And they like what they're hearing. I actually visualize that in my mind. So, I mean, that's part of the things I try to do. If I'm going to, the very first time I was going to be on live television, I was terrified. But I visualized myself not making an idiot out of myself. And it worked. But I had to practice that in my mind. I had to see it in my subconscious to help myself fulfill that. Another thing I've heard about public speaking is if you envision the crowd naked, that helps. But that's really never works out so well for me. But who knows why that is. So visualization, programming your subconscious. I am a huge believer in positive self-talk. Do any of you ever talk to yourself negatively? It'd be something like this: I'm not good with names. I'm really afraid of going up on that stage and talking. I'm not sure I'm going to do very well on this project. That is all negative programming. That's teaching your mind bad things. Don't do that. Instead, say things like, I'm great with names. I'm really good at public speaking. I'm going to do a great job on this interview. And see yourself doing that. Use positive language. I am a huge believer in the vocabulary that you use. I don't think you want to say, I'm going to pay the price for good health. I want you to think about, I enjoy the benefits of good health. It's not, I'm going to pay the price for a good marriage. It's, I'm enjoying the benefits of a happy and loving marriage. Think about the words that you use. I try never to say, I don't have enough time. I tell myself, I have more than enough time. I even have a personal mantra that I say to myself, particularly if I'm ever getting down. I am whole, perfect, strong, powerful, loving, happy, and successful. I am whole, perfect, strong, powerful, loving, happy, and successful. I say that to myself. You guys are thinking she's a freak. Okay, I am a freak. I get it. But what that does is it allows my subconscious to start acting out in those ways, as opposed to, I'm a failure, I'm not very good at names, I'm no good at public speaking, I'm not going to get this job interview, or not going to do, you know what I mean? You got to build your mind up, and that's going to be part of helping you achieve your goals. Next up, affirming your goals with affirmations or positive statements that the goal's already been achieved. That's the same thing as visualization. And then persistence and determination are more powerful than talent and genius. So let's think about some of the best basketball players of our time. Now, of course, I'm going to say Michael Jordan, and everybody in this room is too young to know who Michael Jordan. How many of you know who Michael Jordan is? Okay. How about Kobe Bryant? Okay. Actually, more people know Michael Jordan than Kobe Bryant. Those are two guys that are hugely talented, but they work at their craft more than anybody else. In the summer, Kobe Bryant, when it's off season, he's practicing a new move. He's practicing fast breaks and, I don't know basketball very well, but throwing the thing into the hoop, all kinds of different angles. I mean, you know, whatever basketball guys are supposed to do. He's not relying on his born talent. He's focused on persistence and determination. And if you look at any of top athletes, they do that. The reality is top salespeople do the same thing. Top CEOs do the same thing. It's that persistence and determination are more powerful than talent and genius. So, in closing, just going to think about some things. Every single one of you can achieve your goals and dreams. You need to have goals. You need to write them down. You need to follow the 7-step formula, and amazing things will happen in your life. When you're tough on yourself, life is infinitely easier on you. Successful people do the things unsuccessful people are unwilling to do. And what I know about everybody in this room is you're successful people, and you're going to do what it takes to succeed. Every single one of you can practice every day on improving your skills at a positive mental attitude, at improving your skills in goal-directed behavior, in goal setting and achieving goals, at improving your skills in self-motivation, or whether you call that self-discipline, in having a sense of urgency, in getting one more thing done today than your competition does, maybe 2 things, and never stopping learning. And if each and every one of you practice those skills because they're learned, you will have a life unlike anything you have ever imagined. Thank you very much for your time. You've been an amazing audience. Thank you.
I've got this script here, but Catherine, you've encouraged me to try and deter from it a little bit. Realistically, I just wanted to say, I know when you stepped up here, you said that you and Ann, or Miss Devine, have been working for a few years to try and find the right date that would work. I think that every single person in this room can say, we're really glad that today was the day and that we are all better for it. So seriously, thank you for coming up here, opening up your heart and teaching us what it means to be successful, because that's what we all are striving for in our lives. I also want to say thank you for helping us with PSC, for being a trustee with our organization. And today we'd like to thank you by welcoming you as a life member to our organization.
Wow. Wow. Oh, I'd love a picture. Where's that handsome photographer? Right.
And we've got another gift for you as well, but I'm not sure exactly what this is. I just gave you.
Oh, there's something else.
So,
All right. So my question is, am I supposed to open this up here, or is this better done someplace else? Okay, maybe better part of judgment. We'll just let this one go later. You guys, you've been an amazing audience. I'm so impressed with you guys working on your craft, focused on your careers, focusing on improving yourselves. I mean, the reality is you're going to be the leaders that take our country to the next level. Thank you very much for being here.